Well, hello everyone. Back to our niche of a Euro studio, a Euro recap. Some people really, really like our videos. They watch them twice, but not too many people watch them too many times then. But we've been enjoying it. As always, I brought you the best in women's football, Sophie Lawson. Sophie, apart from us being like almost dressed the same, so in a dark blue shirt and having a nice haircut, there's another thing that that we have in common. It's our love for women's football. But we also were right before we started recording. Speaking of it catching up with us.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think you've been around a little bit longer than I have. Uh, I started watching the 2015 World Cup. Been traveling quite a lot ever since, really. And yeah, it's taken it out of me over the years, and my health has been a bit dodgy. And I've been having actually cognitive problems with my memory and my concentration, which has been getting worse, which is why after sort of losing my job last year, in large part to it, I saw my doctor. I said, this has been going on for 5 years, and kind of got a diagnosis and decided as that was going on that it would be the right time to step back. I had a few people say, hey, just hold on to the Euros. You know so much about these teams. Just just hold on for a bit. But this is my last tournament. This is going to be, once the Euros are over, I can't imagine writing about women's football anymore because it's just I don't have it in.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned I've been around for a little longer, mostly, but on the men's side. But I never committed like you did. I mean, come on, there was times where you were just living in trains and airplanes and everything. You saw everything up close, all these tournaments, all these games. I think I will take quite a long time to catch up to you, but there are people starting now who will take a lifetime to catch up with you.
I managed to do quite a lot, getting by on coaches, which is a bit of a surprise when I look back at it. Yeah, so when I was at like the World Cup in 2019, I spent the first 4 weeks in France staying in a basement that was subterranean, no windows, didn't actually have a toilet. And that was how I afforded it. Because otherwise, you're going to a tournament, it costs money. You've got to stay somewhere for over a month. I say I've gotten a lot of coaches over the years. It's not always been trains and planes. I've gotten the coach from London to Brussels. I've gone into Cologne on the coach from London. I've done some hard miles. And yeah, I've seen a lot of football in a lot of unexpected places, unexpected teams. You show up and people are like, "Why are you here?" Like at Champions League games, so you're English? Do you live here? What's going on? Um, but like, especially you go back a few years when there weren't broadcast deals and whatnot. If you wanted to see games, you had to go to games, and that sometimes meant going to Romania or going to wherever. Um, and yeah, and I think I've always tried to say that whilst there is coverage in English of sort of like English leagues and whatnot, it's harder to find coverage, especially before the broadcast deals of other leagues, of other nations. So I always wanted to be kind of like the go-between to actually give the information about these other games, these other leagues, these other nations, these players that no one knows because they don't speak English or they're not playing in England or what have you. And that's what I've tried to do for 10 years, taking a lot of coaches. And it caught up with me.
I mean, really, people sometimes underestimate, especially now in Switzerland, we're seeing a lot of new fans, a lot of hype fans, which is good. We need them as well. But before COVID actually did a lot of good to the broadcasting side of the games. I mean, we keep going back to that one faithful day in Scotland where we met and you had to leave before the interviews.
I had to get a coach back to London from
Yeah.
Glasgow, yeah.
And that game was not set to be broadcast. I remember. it was a huge deal that even Scottish BBC was doing it, BBC Alba, because even they were talking about, yeah, it's not common that we do that. Back in
It's,
2017, 18, it was 18.
it's, actually, it is a big, important game. I'm surprised. But over the years, we have seen, at least I can speak over here, BBC Alba have taken up more Scotland games, and they do broadcast a bit more from the Scottish leagues. And I think they get like the cup finals. But they did have they started, like, if you want to watch Scotland, it's on BBC Alba. The commentary, I never know if it's Scots or if it's Gaelic. It's something I don't understand, but it's like that. There isn't an option to kind of watch it on TV in England, but you can watch it online. And likewise, we've kind of seen that growth with what the BBC can offer in terms of sort of Wales and Northern Ireland, and of course you've got it over in the Republic of Ireland, which is not part of the UK. Their games have been on RTE, and you've kind of seen that all over Europe as well. Like Rai takes Italy games now; they didn't always, and I think what we've had is not just kind of the growth of, well, here's the game if you want it. It's here's the game, and here's two commentators. We've got a forward player who knows the game and the team, and then also, oh, now we've got in-studio analysis, and it's grown so much in such a short space of time.
Yeah, we're looking at the very good developments. Now we just need to have things smoothing out because I don't want to make the same mistakes men's football did. But we spoke about that the last few times. I think it's inevitable, and that's, I think, apart from health, maybe also something that's catching up to the both of us, right?
Age,
Yeah, age as well, yeah.
yeah.
And also not wanting to see them make silly mistakes. That's sometimes with me. Sometimes I look at some developments, I'm like, we've been there. We've been there with women's football, but we've been there many times men's football. Why do you do the same mistakes again?
I know, again, over the last few years, people who've been in women's football, I mean, in England at the very least, for a long time, like when it was 10 fans, all, it was like friends and family only, someone's dog, that type of thing. That's the fans you've got. And people who've been in the sport since then, over the last few years, as it's become more commercial, as the men's teams have kind of integrated their women's sides and the access has changed, and it's a very kind of complicated thing. And I think if I say it, it's going to come across wrong, but I think the attitudes of the players have changed. But understandably, they're now full-time professionals. After they play a game, it's about recovery, it's about rehab, it's about what comes next. It's their careers. If you go back a few years, it wasn't necessarily their careers, and they had more time. They had more time for fans, they had more time for media. It was just a slightly different world, and you had more trust as well from clubs and players. Now, players, because they're in such a spotlight in England, they're scared to say the wrong thing. Obviously, English media in football gets such a bad reputation. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of media training. Um, and even if you've been around the game for so many years, and you know the players, you still get that, oh, I don't want to talk to you. Um, and it's there's loads of that kind of shifting towards how the men do stuff, the men do things, I should say, that has forced people who care about the sport and have been looked after it for so long. They've just gone, you know what, it's not what it was. I fall out of love. I'm tired. Um, the sport is in a better place now as well. I don't feel bad about leaving it, but it's not what it was for me. Like, I know a few people who've been in that situation. Again, they're tired after so long. But it's a slightly different. It's just a slightly different ecosystem now, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's something we always wanted. We always knew that this was likely going to happen, but there have been some sort of frustrations behind the scenes, and you see it as things progress in other countries. Like, I went to a Frankfurt game in Frankfurt, losing to Bayern Munich. But even though they had filled the stands with fans, which was a big improvement from the time before, they still had time. They still did the sign everything. You should take every selfie, and it felt like WSL used to. The same. I went to a Roma game when they beat Juventus when they were very close to winning the title the season before last. And again, it was, that having time for people, whether it be fans, journalists, or whatever, to talk to you. there wasn't the fear and the wanting to put up barriers. It was still that kind of openness that that's what WSL was like in England when I first started the sport. And I know that in Serie A, in the Bundesliga, they're going to go the same way. And it, it's part of the growth, but it is a shame because you do lose so much.
Part of the growth is also, it seems, to make it a hassle for people at times.
Yeah,
Uh, I understand there's people who need to justify their job, and I understand their job is important. But maybe if I've been interviewing the same player for 12 years and I've done more interviews with her than I had phone calls with my sister-in-law, you don't need to come and tell me that it's only two questions, bro.
yeah,
Honestly. But that's something else, completely different. Let's get back into the
yeah.
sports, and I'm not keeping on the topic of your health because I don't want to pry too much. I just hope you're doing all right and you're getting better. That is the most important thing. So people don't think I'm heartless. I just don't want to pry too much. Uh, you were somewhat of the trader of a nation. You were almost Thomas Morris. Well, you do have the same chin as Henry Cavill, so you
Uh,
get close to it. At least a better smile you do.
uh,
I'm joking. You were the trader of a nation calling out the Lionesses, and they answered
they did.
4-0.
They weren't just answering me. I have to say that a lot of people were like,
I don't
"Oh,
know. They all know you personally, so.
moving on." No, they're not checking my social media. No, yeah, they needed to respond and they did. And I think that's unfortunate for Wales that they're going to face them full of confidence as well. But it was a strong performance from England. I think they did everything they needed to. Russo will probably quite be quite frustrated that she didn't score. But I think you also have to say, for as good as England were, the Netherlands were dreadful. And they made it easy for them. And it's you don't want to take away from the team that plays so well because part of the like they're playing so well they make the other team worse, but the other team was so bad it also makes them better. And it's that catch 22 of it. But the Dutch were so bad they were passengers, they were barely there. Um, yeah, but I mean it's good for England because it's a confidence boost and it's what exactly what they needed after the France game. But oh, I love the Dutch.
Yeah, I don't know how a team can implode this quickly from one game to the other. There was because they did really well against Wales. Of course, it's Wales, but it's Wales also. Wales isn't as easy as people think. I mean, we Swiss can tell you about it. It took us 120 minutes and one extra to at least get one goal against them. And they are playing with a heart. And they're playing their heart out. And God damn it, where was Belgium? Where was Holland that day? How can you explain such a performance?
Think, oh dear. Think we've seen since André Jonker came in, they haven't always played well. They've been inconsistent. They've won when they've not played well. They've lost when they've played well. They've been more up and down than you'd expect. They have had injuries to key players over that time. You know, Miedema had her ACL. Rod had her ACL. Perlov has just come back from an ACL. Those are big players in the dynamic in terms of how they attack. But I think again, he's someone who maybe leans a little bit too much into I wouldn't say favorites, but the other day he needed to make a defensive change. Bormann was had a knock and he brought on Shuri de Spitzer. And I think I brought Shuri de Spitzer in 2025. And then he brought like Van der Donk on after an hour when the game was gone. With 5 minutes left, he brought on Egarola. It's like bring the Morris on at half time. You need something in midfield. Like
Well, in
you
his defense, last time Sherida Spitzer was in Zurich, it was live on my channel, and she won 5-0 against the FC Zurich with Ajax. So that's why he must have done the research, saw it on our channel, and was like, yeah, Sherida's got a Zurich game more in her.
she might have been a one-hit wonder in Split. That's the problem. No, they're inconsistent, and now they've got a mountain to climb against France, and I have no idea how that game is going to go. I think, people still thought, oh, the Dutch will come back into this, the Dutch will come back into this, and they did nothing. They weren't there. You'd forget who was on the pitch. And yeah, now they've got a mountain to climb.
But that is the game to watch, Holland against France, because I mean, with all due respect to Wales, England is most probably gonna get a result, even if it's good or bad, and England are through, we think. So
Yes.
it leaves us looking into Holland against France, Netherlands against France, and that is a close one, unpredictable one because France didn't play. Okay, they changed a lot of people, but they didn't play that well against Wales. At least the first half an hour, 50 minutes, even I would say. So, what are we looking into that?
Well, I think, saying that Wales are a tough team, I really felt bad for Wales. I mean, the penalty, Middleton Patel, it hitting her, it's still managing to go in. On another day, that doesn't go in. Then you've got a couple of really tough goals to concede, and it makes France look really good. And I know that there was a change front line, but Bada Matteo, uh, Diani, like those are good players to bring in. Um, and I'm interested in that France defense because we saw Wales score; they could have had more than one. England, had one and one that was offside. But I think that is a vulnerable defense, and what the Dutch can do if they're there, if they show up, is move the ball so well. Is when it flows, and we saw a little bit of it against Wales, is how easy they can move teams with that passing, and it's that little bit of the ode to kind of like the Cruyff Ajax and everything of that spatial awareness and manipulation. They have it in the locker. They don't always do it. In fact, they rarely do it, but it is there. It is a possibility. And there, in theory, you've got a really technical team coming up against a physical team. It's different strengths. I think everyone's expecting France to win because of how good they looked against England, because they changed so much and still looked good against Wales. But if the Dutch show up and give them a good game, make France nervous. Let's see what happens when you shake that boat because France capsize at every tournament. Um,
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, here in Switzerland, we joke kindly about it because France have chosen the most dreaded field to practice in, the Bützel. So they actually went very smartly as far away from France as they can. They are at the Austrian border, and there's this tiny little patch of dirt. It's halfway up a hill, and you have that. Okay, they changed the grass now, but you have a very weak turf there already, but then they play half the season or more on their artificial, and it's like the oldest artificial turf you could find anywhere. It's just eaten out all bros. And France went there and they were like, yep, this is where we want to go.
so what I've been hearing is don't underestimate France, don't underestimate France, don't underestimate France.
I think
And
they are focused on what's important. That we spoke about that last time. They lost out on the characters, but they maybe won as a team. And yeah, of course, in Basel, the grass is a little better than at the Bützel where they play. But I think it's also important that well, the Dutch as well, but they might get a lot of fans as well in from the straight from the border. So yeah, I think that's the one to watch on Sunday.
yeah, I want to say that France are going to win.
Do you think so?
I think yeah, I think like as we said last time, they look confident as we think that they're so focused on the football. Even sort of saying, right, we're going to train on the worst pitch we can find so that we're ready for everything. Like we're gonna give ourselves hurdles so we can overcome it. I just I think who could cause France problems yeah, how long would they go before facing a team that's going to give them pause? I think Spain and Switzerland, from what we've seen, but God, that Spanish defense is dreadful. But I mean, France. Did I say Switzerland? Sorry, that was
Yeah.
generous. Sweden. So
Yeah,
close. Um,
I was a little confused about that one.
Post bounce. No. Yeah, like a Spain or a Sweden, I think would potentially be the only from what we've seen, and that is again, we're only talking about the group stage, which lives in isolation. It's not connected to the knockouts. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's so easy to say France at every tournament are disappointed. Like something happens, they get knocked out. That's France. They never win. It's the easy thing to say. It's what I
Yeah,
said pre-tournament. But I think a lot of people, every tournament, whether it's the Euros or the World Cup or even the Olympics recently, say they're so good. They have to finally overcome it. They have to, and they've been hurt every time. Like every time they're wrong. Um, it will happen for France one day. Is it going to be this? Is it going to be this month? Only time will tell.
I think it could be, but yeah, I think this is going to be a very close one. Let's just have a look at the end at Van Dormselaar, who plays at Arsenal, right? Am I getting
Yeah,
this right? She
that's
used to
right.
be at some other team before she was at Arsenal. West Ham,
Aston
right?
Villa.
Aston Villa,
Aston Villa.
sorry.
Claret and
The
Blue.
Claren, they have almost the same kits, by the way. Even you have the same colors, and then you get the same kits, and then there's Burnley as well. Come on. So at some
Yeah,
point,
but it,
you guys need a new color palette in Britain.
it it's where Noel Mallett plays.
I
So you should
know.
remember.
It's where Alicia Lehmann used to play, but
Yes.
I was
She also
thinking,
used to play for West Ham.
yeah, I know, and I was thinking, well, Carnet and Blue, and then Swiss, and I went to Pubel, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
Maritz. I'm sorry
yeah.
about that,
And
but
she's a miss for the tournament as well. Tubel. It's a shame not to see
yeah.
her good
I
enough.
think she just lost on the shuffle because actually Villa denied her access to the first training week.
Really?
Yeah, they because I think it's mostly the association didn't put in the request early enough. And then Villa was like, "No, you already had her 2 weeks for the Nations League. She needs at least a 1 week off." So they stayed hard, and I think that hurt her chances because she missed a whole week of training,
Mm.
and then there were just other people looking sharper.
Yeah,
That happens at times.
yeah. It's,
Also,
it's
because
definitely
she
shame.
would like to play further down on the field, she would like to play as a number 8, where I think she would have actually excelled at. But the coach wanted her as a false nine,
It's
and I don't know. At Aston Villa, she play at West Ham. No, she's at
West
West Ham.
Ham.
At
She's
West
West
Ham,
Ham.
she plays that.
Yeah,
So I understand Sundhage's idea, but yeah, difficult one.
which is
But Van Dorselaar, I don't think she's yet at her height in this tournament. In England, she was amazing, outstanding at the Euros, but this time around, what do you reckon? Am I just interpreting too much out of those
I
4 goals?
I mean I wish I could remember those goals, if I'm being honest. It's easy to remember what happened at the last Euros. I remember talking to a lot of people about Daphne and they're saying, is she really good? Is she just doing the basics
No,
right?
she's
Because
good.
I mean, yeah, but go back to 2022 when Parsons was still starting Sally Van Vendal, who in her prime was fantastic. But by the time she was starting in 2022, she was dreadful. And I really enjoyed watching Van Vendal at her peak, but she should not have been starting in 22. Had that injury right off the bat. Daphne came in, people weren't expecting it. And she just did the basics so well, which is what the Netherlands needed. And I think she went to Villa because she wanted to start and she wanted to get better and she wanted to be in a team where she was going to be under pressure, which obviously happens to Aston Villa more than Arsenal in theory. Um, but she's been injured the last season. You never really know. Maybe she's not quite 100%. Maybe it's just how bad that team performance was a couple of days ago that you can't really say anyone played well. And the defense should have been the defense should have been so much better. I think the fourth England goal was just a mess. Um, yeah, I just chalk it up to just everyone in that team playing badly.
Yeah, maybe it's that. I just saw those goals against England and I was like,
Yeah, they're not good.
yeah, so but that's what happens. So, we're saying England and France get through?
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
ask me again, on Monday. But yeah, we're saying
Oh,
England and
Monday you'll know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think at the moment it looks like France are going to be the Dutch, but you like much like England after the France game, if the Dutch suddenly show up and play their best football, who knows?
And those teams will need opponents. Let's just look quickly, really quickly into Group C. People are saying they're disappointed with Germany, but they're doing their job. Even though fair play maybe isn't the biggest one on that. They beat Denmark in a very, very, I would say, close game, but then again, Germany was a better team slightly. So, yeah, Germany is doing well, and Denmark, it's a shame, but they're out already. And then we're looking at Sweden, who's usual, most likely accompanying them, right? The German ones.
Yeah, I so Germany's history against Sweden, especially in major tournaments, is really it's so good. Like Sweden have won three of their past 14 meetings at major tournaments. And but Germany for 24 years just kept beating them. That changed in 2019. That was a big thing for Sweden. They ended up winning bronze that year. And Sweden have been a bit up and down. Germany have been a bit up and down, different coaches, different styles. But as you say, Germany, they're winning games. They're not as bad as Norway, but then they don't look quite like they have since Rook came in. They've been really exciting in attack and really bad in defense. But this tournament, they've been okay in attack and really bad in defense. I think if they play against Sweden as they did against Poland and against Denmark, I think Sweden wins. So that Sweden just look more comfortable, more set in how they want to play.
What I like most about Sweden is there was variety in their football. And I like teams that have variety in their football. And I think Sweden will manage to actually meet any opponent and accept the game that they give them, but also force them something else on. So I think that was very interesting with Sweden. And you said it. It's like a red line through the whole episode. You'll be saying everyone's very bad at defense.
Except
The
Sweden.
only yeah, except Sweden, and maybe I wanna leave a little note for Poland. I think they do their best. They defend
They do.
very solidly. They defend very harmoniously. It wasn't a washout like we expected them to be washed out by all the teams. They weren't. They stayed in the games. But that in the end, it's just not enough depth in that squad.
Yeah, I thought they did so well against Germany in their first game, but they lost Dudek at halftime. Olivia Wash has come in. She's really tall, um, but she
Plays in
doesn't
Switzerland for a few
plays in
years.
Switzerland.
Very good
Yes, I
player. No,
just
very
left, did
tall
she?
player. Yeah, she's just left,
Kind of
unfortunately.
reminds me of like a Raquel Kivic, right? Like very tall centre back.
Yeah, a little better than Kivic also in the whole physical thing. Kivic was just tall, but she wasn't that physical. Olivia is very physical. She's
Yeah.
very determined. She actually has a little bit of speed. She just lacks a little quality with the feet, and that will forever haunt her. But
I,
she at in a defense of three, like she was used in the middle, down the middle, being the one keeping it together. She's very good, and she's got good leadership. That's why I think she can improve that team very much. But carry
listen,
on. I
I feel that they missed Dudek. And I remember watching Wash in their playoff, and she was so good. She was so assured. I don't think she's been as good. And I know that's one game in isolation. These are everything's different in the tournament, but it did feel like when Dudek went off at halftime against Germany, and yes, Germany went in. It was 0-0. They probably got shouted at by Vuk. They probably just took a minute, sorted, composed themselves, and had a better second half. But I think in losing Dudek, I think that hurt Poland, and I think we
Yeah,
saw a bit of that
we have
again.
to note also that Olivia broke her foot during the playoffs, so she missed 3 games, 3 crucial games where she just decided not to play for her team to just be able to make it to the Euros, and so she's actually coming back from a broken foot, I think, from a foot injury that should have put her out of the Euros, but she's powering through, so that might be a thing. Also, I said she's bad with her feet. It's true at some point, but she's amazing at free kicks.
I mean, I would say generally you're quite bad with your feet if one of them's broken, but that's another matter. Oh,
Yeah, both
yeah,
the things, but
yeah. Yeah, I'd like to. I know Poland can score, and I want to see them score against Denmark. I think they deserve it. Yeah, I just I wish we because we like they're so good in the transition. They're fast. When you have the combinations going, it works. But we haven't quite seen either the combinations or the finishing. And I just hope that they can finally play a good game against Denmark.
I think what's also a big issue with Poland is they have actually 2 or 3 good attackers. I mean, Pajor is world class, but they don't seem to gel that well. I mean, Padilla, who also used to be in Switzerland, she doesn't fit right into that attacking form that they are using, and so they would maybe need even either a third attacker or at least something else to smooth that game out. And of course, as always, you need a midfielder who can provide. And I think that's the main reason. I think it's actually pity that Switzerland got the tournament and not Poland, because Poland were supposed to get it, and then there was this whole Ukraine war thing. Because I think if Poland had gotten the tournament, first of all, they were committed to invest way more in infrastructure, which would have been the stadium, but also Poland has such a potential with the kids and young girls starting to pick up the ball and football. So I would have liked to see that development in Poland as well, but we never got it. Maybe for the next time, I think Poland is big enough that they could actually still qualify for a tournament. Switzerland wouldn't. The stadium requirements is gone. We don't have them. So yeah, let's hope for Poland in the future.
Think they got as a consolation they got a youth tournament coming their way.
Exactly, yeah. Either coming away or it was already. I think it was already. It was the under
Oh,
19s. Not sure, but I think it was already earlier, but no one excelled at that, so there wasn't too many too much talk about it. Yeah, I think this group, I mean, it's clear now. It's decided earlier, but it would have ended up anyways being like that, right? Germany and Sweden were always meant to hit the next round.
I think I think Denmark know they could have done more in both games. I think you have harder hitting the bar with a pot shot against Sweden. You see some frustrations. They started so well against Germany. Couple of calls went their way, and a couple of calls didn't go their way. Um, so I think there's going to be a lot of frustration from Denmark because they weren't blown away. They were in both those games. They could have had a result in either of them. But yeah, it's the way it's they knew what the draw was when they got it. It was a tough route.
Looking at it, I would presume Sweden keeps up. I mean, even if Germany gets a draw, Sweden should be the first to go
Yeah,
through. Sweden against France, Sweden against Holland, and I guess, with all due respect towards Wales, again, I think there'll be more than 2 or 3 goals. So I guess England will top the group. Either way, they just got lucky now with this consolation and with their 4 goals against Holland, of course. So,
I'm trying to
oh
work
no,
this out.
it's a
It's
direct,
yeah,
it's a direct.
France.
Oh, so France could actually top
France
the
will top
group.
the group.
So that
Uh,
we would see
yeah,
France against Germany. That would be
potentially.
Yeah, that would be a doozy, or
I,
England
I,
again. But either way, that would be those would be amazing matchups, right?
They should be. Yeah, it's so the tiebreakers start on the head-to-heads. Um, like goals scored, yeah. And then if you're still tied, then it goes down to kind of your group overall. So there is still the possibility that everyone ends up on 6 points, except for those. And then it goes down to goal difference, and then or like it's like there are weird permutations. I think the Dutch have to score a lot of goals to go through, is basically the problem they have.
Yeah, except if they beat. Yeah, if Wales beat England, if Wales beats England, then the calculators have to come out. But if the Dutch beat France, then they're through. Either way, because France then only has 3 points.
No, France have 6 points
Oh,
because they beat
France has
England in.
six already.
Yeah, so
Oh,
you could potentially have teams
ah.
tied on 6 points.
Okay,
So
then the Dutch have the
so what
issue.
so what would then be interesting is if Wales take anything off of England. If Wales take
Yeah,
anything off of England and the Dutch win, or blah blah blah. It's
exactly. And
that's
the
Yeah,
Dutch would need at least 4 goals or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Oh, it's
yeah,
crazy. Well, let's hope we don't need the calculators. Oh, I
we
had
might.
forgotten that
Yeah,
France had won against England. See, I forget
yeah.
from one talking point to the other.
But I assume you didn't forget what happened yesterday.
Sophie, you're the perfect at your job. That's why you gave us the perfect segue. I did not forget what happened yesterday. So let's move into Group A. Yeah, I mean, it was. I honestly I didn't predict Finland to be as conservative as they were, but I also did not expect Switzerland to defend to press that well, which happened, and so Finland wasn't too courageous playing letting the ball run as they did against Norway and Iceland, and I think that's what did them in the end because they could have played more playfully like they wanted to and maybe gotten the result. This way, it had to be very dramatic. I thought we were aiming for a 0-0, nil-nil, as you guys say. And then we saw the penalty and Switzerland coming back. Um, I'm very happy for Switzerland. It was amazing. That stadium broke out. Was crazy. My ears almost blasted off from all those ladies screeching in behind me. But yeah, Switzerland are through. Not being very, very consistent, not being very good, but they are through.
They are. I think we talked about it a little bit last time. You said that Switzerland not great at playing for a draw. But I thought I think two things happened in the second match day. That was Finland should have taken at least a point and they lost late. So that deflates you. And Pilgrim scoring the second goal for Switzerland against Iceland, meaning all they needed was a draw. I think with that coming in, I think that probably made Finland a bit nervous, a little more uncomfortable. And I think they went forward well a couple of times. It looked like they were growing into the game and they kind of came out of it again. But I think there was more pressure in this game than they might have liked. I think we've seen that a little bit. That teams have kind of struggled when they know that it's doable, but they could fail. Um, but yeah, I think as soon as the goal was scored, because I was talking to a friend about this, and we said, "Look, there's still time." And then when Jamali came on, I said, "I like Jamali." And then um, yeah, but I think again, Pierre made the right substitutes as well. I think with the crowd behind you, knowing all you needed was that goal, and Finland trying to just hold on, I think it was just kind of perfect to get the
Uh,
equaliser.
to quote a colleague of ours here in Switzerland, he said, "Well, sure, the substitutes changed the game, but then again, she threw in everyone she could. So
Yeah.
there was no one to miss substitute left, because she had finally actually she went to the limits. But I mean, I think listen, I wrote on Instagram my match report, and I was just like, usually I do a whole analysis of the game, Today I'm not because I notice and I understand this is not about me. This is not about sport. This is about a nation that's now, uh, how do you say, a nation that's now euphoric, euphorized,
Uh,
euphocated,
in euphoria,
in
experiencing euphoria.
euphoria, yeah, experiencing
Yeah.
euphoria, yeah. So, and I think that is the most important. I am not happy with the Swiss game. I think they did very well. The pressing, I think that was good. The press up front, I think they didn't switch on the game as fast as possible. Where I, with all the love I have for Lia Valti and for Smila Valotto, I just think both are not at their height. Valti got very lucky. She could have been sent off. She could have seen a couple of yellow cards. Didn't see even one. But that's another totally different topic. Referees and in women's football. Um, but I think neither of them did anything to have that game moving up front. Moving forward. I think Wandeler did well. I think Bune had some moments, but Bune and Chertenleib, I get a little angry at that because I think both have incredible talents and they both are very good. I know that because I've known them since they were kids and I'm sure of that. But they're not there maturity wise and decision making wise where people talk them to be and put them at those high pedestals. And then it gets annoying for me because then, yeah, I just don't like when they make the silly mistakes. And the Schertenleib should have come off at halftime, not only at the 70th minute, because she's been like that. One good pass in one game, in two games. Sorry, that does not, in three games, that does not a starter make. Sorry for that elongated rant.
I mean, we said this last time as well. Like here, loads of coaches have their favorites. So again, Balotto didn't have the best game, but was out there. Um, yeah, and I don't know. I think you have to kind of go with who you think will make the difference. If it makes sense to have Sydney on the pitch because she has moments of brilliance in her. I mean, I remember. Oh God, this is what the 20. Actually, this will be relevant for you. This was Men's World Cup 2014, Switzerland, Argentina, went
Hmm.
all the way to extra time. And I remember all the way through the game saying, Angel Di Maria has done nothing. Di Maria has done nothing. Take Di Maria off. He's done nothing. He's done nothing. He's done nothing. Oh, and he didn't have a good game, but he did one very important thing. And so I think that's the problem coaches have is do you stick? Do you twist? You've got the players you trust. You know they can do things. What if you take them off and that's their own decision? What if, and that's the hard thing about being a coach is having that burden in the big moments. And Pia has been there and done that. I think she's fine with that pressure. I think if you look at say Australia and the 2023 World Cup, Tony Gustafsson wasn't okay with that pressure because he had only been an assistant before and he didn't do enough. He tried to stick with the players he had, so he ran them into the ground and they were exhausted, which is a topic for another day. But it's a hard place to be as a coach, and it's always easier whether you're in the stands, whether you're in the press box, you're watching at home and saying you should do this, you should do that. But in those moments when the buck stops with you, it can be tough. And I get leaning on players you trust, even if they're not playing well. But at the same time, make the changes.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think changes were really the anthem of this game. You saw Finland making maybe too defensive of changes after they score their goal. I mean, if we have a look, I don't know too much about these ladies, but you will surely know who they are. Um, After they score their goal, he takes out Kosola and puts in Roth,
Yep.
Maria Roth, Maria Roth, and even earlier when he still needed a goal, he took out Sumana and put in Lehtola, and Salström for Rantala is also Of course, forward for forward, but those are defensively minded changes mostly, right?
So I think Southam, as English commentators keep pointing out, is an older player, and she runs very hard all game. And at some point, you have to say she's tired. Conversely, I I really like Jutharantala. She plays at Leicester. She has been in. She barely played any last season because she was so injured. She had a knee problem, and she was out from October until the start of this tournament. But Tarantula is your game changer. She's your special player. Like she's the one you want to watch, but she's not in form because she was injured for so long. But she's brought on as a game changer and to rest Selstrom, who is exhausted by that point, I assume. Summonen maybe as well. Like Summonen picks up knocks during games. She works really hard. She's quite physical. She runs quite hard. Again, that might have been just she's tiring. We need something fresh. But yes, there was definitely some defense-minded, more defensive moves in there as well. And I think maybe a bit of nervousness as well, because, like I said, Finland have had, like Switzerland, have had a really bad run at Euros. They've not had much luck. They've lost a lot of games. They just wanted to do better this tournament, and then they were so close to going through, so close to being so much safer going into the last game. And then it's tough because you played the hosts. And everyone's tired from working so hard for 2 games. I don't know if there are more knocks in there and whatnot, but yeah, they just they didn't see the game out well. But they gave Switzerland too much of the ball. They said, "Come and attack us," and Switzerland did.
And especially, that's the thing, they were up and we were close to the 90th minute. And I was like, okay, 7 minutes, that's a lot. And I was like, but we have too much space. I couldn't believe it. I mean, if you look at the Swiss goal, there's just space. They're in a swimming pool, basically on their own. And I think that's what did them in. Of course, it's sad because we all know, goddamn Norway should not be going through. I didn't get to see the game. I haven't rewatched it. Maybe you had an eye on it. I don't know. It seems to have been amazing. 7 goals, a red card. What can you wish for more? But is Norway still a disgrace going through with 9 points? Tell me.
Yes. So I was double. I've got 2 screens right in front of me. And I was double screening, and a lot more was happening in the Norway game than the Switzerland game. And Norway, they changed their front three. Ada, Goro, and Carolina were all rested. On came Celine, Gobset, and someone else I can't remember. That's shameful. But they changed their front three. They had nothing to play for anyway. But Gobset scored a couple of good goals. She looked really bright. Frida Molum scored a brace as well. But they were 4-1 up with like 15 minutes to play. Iceland had some good moments through Sven Sjonsdottir. She got the first goal, the opening goal. She almost had an assist a minute before that. But Iceland kind of fell away a bit. Norway looked so comfortable, and then Eric came on, scored a goal that was far too easy. And again, it was from Svennis running through the entire pitch, no one
That one I
getting
saw,
close to
yeah.
her. It's a good run. And then Maddelund picking up a second yellow for a foul on Eric and for this scoring it. And then it's 4-3. It doesn't matter what happens. Iceland at bottom, Norway at top. It doesn't matter what happens. And Norway get the ball and they go to their own corner and they just see the game out for like a minute and a half stoppage time.
Jesus
You're
Christ.
thinking, you're not
But
okay.
at
You're
that
broken.
point, you know more than I do. You know Gemma Granger surely more than I do. Is this her philosophy?
Oh God, no.
Because we saw, I've seen Norway against Switzerland 3 times in the past 4 months, and this seems so deliberate that they always do that. we're up front. Let's stop playing. Is it the players who are saying, "Oh, finally we got equal pay, so we get as lazy as the men were for 30 years," or, or what's happening there?
I think
Isn't
uh,
it Gemma?
no, I think that's it's game management, and I think it stems from fear. Um, they're so good they shouldn't have to protect a 1-0 lead. They shouldn't have to like and just kill the clock. But there's so much fear in how they are because they've been so bad for so long. Um, there was nothing good about the Martin Hughlin era. Before that, um, other ones said that they didn't have a plan in the 2015 World Cup. Um, and then even Hege comes in. The players don't want Risa in; they want someone separate from Norwegian football. And I just think there's something about this team. I think after so many bad tournaments, in the players knowing that they're better collectively and individually, that they're mentally kind of broken by it, which is unquantifiable.
Yeah,
But
because if I may interrupt, it's
oh,
just the
please,
thing. 2023 they were awful, dreadful. 2022 as well. We'll not talk about it. Uh, but then there they seem to have a fight within the whole structure. Was both years still Hegeriza, right?
uh, oh,
2023 as well?
that's why can't I remember? Yes, yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was against
And
2022 was Huglen. He
yeah.
left after that finally.
Yeah, so they didn't like Hugland. I know there was a fight. Fights there was yeah, something was going wrong there in England, right? Then we
A,
had
a, a lot went wrong, mostly in Brighton, but yeah.
is it Brighton? Yeah. Well, I mean, come on, it's Brighton.
That was a horrible game to be at.
Yeah.
I was the only English person there who wasn't happy. Uh,
Brighton actually doing a lot of good work with their women's team. I keep hearing they invest. They keep telling Swiss girls to go over there. They just don't have the courage. But well, it's also a little difficult since you guys decided to
oh,
exit
don't,
out of Bre. That's
don't.
become really much more difficult for everyone. I mean, Swiss players, it's so stupid. You need to have played for the national team, and you need to have been champion. So if you aren't champion in Switzerland, you might be the best player in the world. But if you don't win those godforsaken playoffs in our country, and you don't play 20 games for the national team, which you can't in a year, by the way, you don't get enough points to go to England. That's so dumb.
Yeah. I think what we've seen is teams sign players and then immediately loan them out so that they get enough points that they can bring them back. No, the point system is idiotic. Brexit was
Thank you.
idiotic. Um, no, it's I oh God, I live in a really stupid country. I mean, I'm happy I don't live in America, but I'm worried that we're just doing the same stuff as them and are just much smaller. But yeah, no, a lot of politics, but yeah, but I just trying to bring it back. I think Norway have been in a bad place, and I think when if we go back to 2017 when Ada Hegerberg stepped away from the Norwegian team, she said, "I can't do this anymore." Like she gave various interviews over the years, but one of the things she said was she came back from a Norway camp at one point, and like she was having nightmares, she couldn't sleep, she was crying, like she was psychologically affected by playing for Norway, which sounds crazy. And I assume she like the other players weren't as affected. But I kind of look at what happened after the 8-0 and then the loss to Austria. And I think about how I've seen them play and the fear they have and how they kind of get nervous and they try and hold on and the mistakes they make, the really basic stuff that you wouldn't expect any of these players to make at their club teams. And I just think that there is something they need to do massive work with the sports psychologist, and I'm sure they already do. Um, but no, it's not the Gemma Granger way of get a goal and hold on for as long as it takes. I think it's just try and get through.
Okay, because I was thinking maybe it's a coach because even though they were broken in those two tournaments, 2022 and 2023.
Three.
Yeah, sorry. It was only
That's it.
1 year in between. I, in my mind, 2021 was still the England Euro, but it's
Yeah.
not. So even though they were broken then, they didn't do that. They didn't switch off play. And what annoyed me the most about it in these three games against Switzerland was you bloody saw that they can
It
just
worked.
flick a switch and be back on. So I actually thought, okay, this is maybe the coach, but also just a lazy team at times is like, oh yeah, we're so good, we can just switch off for half an hour. And if we need another goal, we'll just switch back on, which they were able to do three times against Switzerland. So kudos
Yeah.
to them for that. And they did the same against Finland, and it worked again. So there they are, 9 points, top of the group, best stats after Spain, looking very sharp, facing Italy.
Um, Another team who kind of look a bit broken,
Yeah.
who are playing nervously.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I left my house and I looked at my phone and it was 1-0 and I was like, are the football gods with me? Because I am hoping, of course, for Switzerland that Italy wins this. And then I see the lineup and I see Spain is resting some players and I'm like, oh, okay, we're leading. So I leave the house, see on the phone, okay, Italy's leading. I get on the bus. As soon as I sit down on the bus, turn the live stream on. Well, Spain have equalized. I turn it off again because I have to get off the bus. Once I'm at the place I need to be, look back and it's a penalty. And I'm like, oh my God, are the football gods back with Switzerland? And go-
Yeah.
that offside was a joke, but I think the offside rule needs to be changed. But yeah, so the football gods were not with Switzerland, but rightly so, because Spain is so much better than all the other teams. I mean, we saw basically Spain 2 play Italy against the wall and still get chances. And if they wanted, it could have been 6 or 7 1. They just really withdrew from trying. It seemed they had fun, they were playing, but they wanted to carry the ball into the goal. And yeah, you say Italy looked broken, but against Spain, everyone's broken.
I think they look broken against Portugal and Belgium.
They
That's the
did, yeah.
problem. Um, I, they started. You say that you saw I was 1-0. They started really well against Spain. They had like the first six chances. Like Linari hit the woodwork just before the opening goal, and even throughout that first half, they still looked really dangerous. They didn't look as dangerous in the second half, but they were creating chances. They were getting forward well. Um, Andrea brought in Olivieri, and she was making these really nice runs from fullback. Was pairing well enough with Cantore. Bonansea and Piemonte both missed some ridiculous chances, but they were offside, so it doesn't really matter anyway. But that was the best we've seen Italy play, and they only really managed about a half. And then they like Alexia had like two world-class assists in that game as well. And it doesn't matter if you bring in Paraguelo, it doesn't matter if you rest Gonzalez or Claudia Pina. You've got Alexia Putellas like pinging these perfect goals, and Ateneo with a brilliant finish. But Spain just have so many different ways to hurt you, and they can score so many different types of goals. And the Swiss fans are about to find that out if they
And
don't already know.
you said they looked good, and I think so as well. They were very initiative, they looked good. But also each time Spain wanted, they didn't. Because once Spain was like is like a mom at the table where the kids are getting a little rowdy with the spatula, waiting for dinner, and they're playing with the spatula, getting a little rowdy. Then at the moment the mom says no, it's done, and takes away the spatula. And that's what happened with Spain. When they decided we had enough of you guys attacking, they just took the ball and then it was theirs.
But I think any team that plays Spain, they know, they go in, they know they're not going to have the ball. So they have to play without the ball. And then what you do is you give Spain the ball. You don't like they want it, they can have it. You just don't allow them to play where they want. So you just let them frustrate themselves with the ball and then you hit them on the counter because their defense is bad.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing.
It's that
The
simple.
Swiss commentary was all the time saying, "Oh yeah, look, this is another way we can hurt them. See, we can play like that. We can do this. This gives us hope." And I'm like, well, Italy still have a better team than we do, and Italy did actually very well defending. You have to say that defending with the double four line, basically defending with 8 or 9 that worked well for most of it. So
Most of it.
Spain didn't get all those free chances. That's why it needed those two world-class assists. Because, of course, Spain with another rhythm would have looked better there, but Italy could thwart them enough that they didn't get all the easy chances.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, Switzerland had a nice run, first quarterfinals, and we're saying goodbye. Because even if we look at the past times we met Spain, it was like 6-1 at the World
5-1,
Cup,
5-0,
5-1,
7
5-0,
one.
7-1.
Yeah, it's
Leah Valt is scolding me.
yeah.
She doesn't know if I ever played against Spain, but it's not that easy. I never played against Spain, I have to admit. I'm very sorry about that. Did you ever play against Spain?
I don't think I did, no. No,
But
my physique is much better suited to being the ball than one of the players. But no,
well, same for me.
yeah,
But still, how would you look at that game? Is it just a nice goodbye for the fans in Bern, or what can Switzerland do to at least mitigate the heavy weight of facing the most likely future champions?
bench for Lotto.
Oh,
No,
thank you. Can I clip that?
you can clip that. If you really want, yeah. No, I just think everyone needs to play at their best, and she hasn't been at her best this tournament. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. No,
So, but you said that on your out of your free volition, you did not check the notes with me. That was also you, right?
that was me saying that. Yes.
Good.
Yeah. I think it's a fun farewell. Look, you've played them a few times. You know what they're capable of. Just try and play well. I mean, that's try and I think you can see from play again against Belgium, their game against Italy, every game they've played over the last 11, when they've kept one clean sheet in all those games, you can score against them. They are vulnerable. But also look at how they score. Try and, bank up. Don't give them the space that they want. Give them space they don't want. Give them the ball. You're not gonna beat them with the ball. But yeah, just try and play your best. I think sometimes all you can do if you know you're coming up against not just the massive favorites, but a team who is so intelligent with what they do. You can't be more physical than them. You can't be smart. You just have to give it the best and try and get a goal. The goals are there. Um, and just don't make it easy for them. That's
Yeah, I think so. The other thing that I would give the players as an advice is don't let your ego stop you. Even if you're Geraldine Reuters, Mila Valotto, Caligaris, or Maritz, you have a yellow card. Don't matter if you miss the semifinals. Go
yeah,
at
you're not going
it.
to be in
You
it.
need
Yeah,
to leave your foot out as many times as you can. Strengthen your hips. Just stiff them because that's the only way you
just foul
can.
them. Just foul them.
No, not fouling, but keep hard because that's a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
issue actually with our Swiss team. we don't see those one-to-ones, those moments through. Usually they just leave the ball there or they don't go with the determination. And sometimes you just need to be very, very rough. You need to be Vidic and Ferdinand at their best years.
Roy Keane, maybe.
Roy Keane's a little bit over the top. That gets a
Uh,
little too aggressive. Vidic and
yeah,
Ferdinand did it very well.
they did, yeah. Um, yeah, I think definitely don't worry about yellow card accumulation. Um, that's not going to really matter. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is a team that has experience of playing Spain. They know what it's like to play them. They know what it's like to lose against them. Hopefully, they've learned and they've taken things from those experiences. That might are very likely to still lose, but hopefully, you grow and you learn and you become a better player.
We'll see. Let's get back to Norway and Italy. Battle of the Broken.
That been broken.
Who do you think is going to inch that one out?
Uh, if they weren't broken, I don't know. I worry about Italy when they play under pressure. I think that's when they're at their worst. They need to be relaxed. Uh, and they haven't been relaxed this tournament. I don't know. Do I want to say extra time?
You can. I mean, now it's possible.
Yeah, got a penalty shootout between those two would be horrible.
Oh my God, if Giuliani is not fit and then you get to a penalty shootout. Oh my God.
I mean, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what I think. I like how Italy play and have played um under their manager as opposed to how Norway have played under their manager. Um, but Norway have the better individuals who can make moments count.
That's a good point. What I wanted to ask you. Tell me about the bench, the Italy bench. We haven't seen too much of them. We only saw them in short spurts, but
Yeah,
is it broad enough to change something, to bring some new life into the game, or maybe even start with new people?
you know what, let me get the team up just so I've got it in front of me. That's not the team, right? I knew I was going to do that.
We
Uh,
know we have Bergamassi who just came in, which made me very happy because she used to play in Switzerland back when Switzerland was way better than Italy, league-wise. Also a national team.
a little while ago though, that was
Come on, what are 7, 8, 9 years? Come on.
um yeah, but it was a shame to see Dragoni miss out.
Yeah,
Um
that was sad, but we
and
have to look at the bright side.
and Bacardi, who Bergamaschi replaced. Like I like Bacardi. I thought it would be a good tournament for her. So I think we've seen some rotation. What André has been really good at is when players picked up yellow cards in games, he has substituted them off. He has not risked going down to 10. So we have seen a good amount of rotation. We've seen like Lenzini come in, Cambiaghi's played a little bit, Gregi, Anna
Lenzini
Maria
with a very
Fettuccine.
bad game today. Lenzini was not on her height.
She wasn't, no, but conversely, Oliviera was. And again, that was a change for the game. Um, I think we've seen some rotation there. It's just so like we saw Bonacea and Piemonte start earlier. Neither played at their best. They neither played that well. It's just about if they can play well when they're called upon. And that's always the question. Like we saw Greggi come on 2 games ago. And I like Reggie. I've been watching her at Roma, but she didn't really do a huge amount. I think she did get assist, but was a little bit quiet. So it depends what type of game they want to play. If they want to try and take it to Norway, they want to be defensive. And but there has been some rotation in there. We have seen some changes. So, he's not afraid to go to his bench either.
We'll see. We'll see. And we'll meet again next weekend once we know what's been happening. I don't know. Maybe after the Swiss game, I don't know if I'm fit enough. I don't know if I'm even in town. Maybe I'll be at the game. I don't know yet. We'll see. You will know. But one question I do have left, or two questions I do have left. One is that week's time now. Might it be too long?
Um,
8 days until you play again? 7 days in some cases? That's a little much, right?
it is. I think it's tricky trying to balance out a tournament calendar because you have a lot of games. A lot of coaches will not rotate unless they've got a soft game or they think they can. So we have seen some like in France, for instance. Uh, but it's who gets to rotate and when, and then to suddenly have a big gap. It's just about trying to make sure your squad's healthy and fresh. But you don't want to go the other way and have too small of a gap. And some teams will obviously have a lot more days than others, and it's really hard to balance out, I think. And it's far worse at the World Cup as well. So
Yes, I just think a week feels really long, but I'm happy because Leah Valti got really bad knocks against Finland, so maybe we can rest her also, not in reason. We just need to talk about those two teams, but really quickly, we haven't mentioned yet Belgium, great performance, sad they're not through. Portugal, bad performance, sad they're not through still, but I have tweeted it out. Do you join me? Hashtag NetoOut.
yes, he's been there for too long. Especially in a national team, you need to change things at some point. And I thought it was a strange game for Portugal. I think if you look at the stats as well, like they created so many chances. They had so many attacks, but their final pass was dreadful. Their finishing was dreadful. Their decision making was dreadful. They were getting more and more frustrated. By the time you get to the Cayman goal, they've scored. They've seen Belgium have two goals ruled out. They should be full of confidence, and yet they just allow that goal to happen. I don't know. I think they kind of reached a peak with emotions with everything happening with Diogo Jota, and it's just they had a strange tournament and they had a high point against Italy, but they really frustrating against Belgium. Belgium, who had nothing to play for, but played really well. Had far less attacks, but was so much better when they did attack. And that's good for them. And they showed what happens when you bring in a new manager and you have fresh eyes on the team, and that is what Portugal really need.
Especially since Portugal has had so much improvement in the player creation side and everything, and to have someone who has been at this job. I mean, Portugal have the second or third oldest team anyway in this tournament, which they shouldn't be because they have very good young players. But someone who has been at the job at the juniors level and goalkeeping coach longer than the youngest players have been playing football. It's been 11, 12, 13 years that he's been with the federation. He needs to go, and especially Thelma Encarnação might be one of the most talented finishers in the game. She is. I don't know much about football, but that one I know. And
She
to
scored earlier.
leave her out, and you saw what she did in the 20 minutes she got, to leave her out of the whole tournament, that's just blasphemy. So, hashtag Neto out.
Hashtag Neto needs a fresh start, as does Portugal. But hashtag Neto out, yes.
Hashtag Neto out, and that is also our hashtag we're out for tonight and for this week. Enjoy your week off. I mean, we have four more games to watch, but then until we see each other, you're off. But we're gonna have some really good quarterfinals. Do you think?
I think we'll have three really good quarterfinals. Yeah. I think we'll have two really good quarterfinals. I think we might have two really good quarterfinals. I don't know. Football, anything can happen in 90 minutes.
Sophie, that's the kind of honesty and banter I got you into for this tournament. So thank you for that. Have a great week. We'll stay in touch. And if I can make it Saturday, we'll do it Saturday night. If I can't, we'll do it Sunday night. Or if there's something big happening in between, of course, we'll meet again. That's the beauty of the internet. We can meet all the time. Thank you all for watching and have a great week. Thanks, Sophie. Thank you all for watching. Bye.